Look at yourself. No, not at the screen. At yourself. For real. You wake up in the morning not because you're rested, not because you're full of energy, but because you don't have a choice. The alarm clock. One sound. And you already owe someone. You owe your job. You owe the schedule. You owe money you haven't even earned yet. And you call this life. You say, I work. No. You exchange time for survival. These are not the same thing. You were sold a story from childhood. A clean, socially approved story. Study well. Get a diploma. Find a job. Be stable. Stability. A word that sounds like safety. But let's stop for a moment. Stability means something does not change. The world changes every day. Technology rewrites the rules. Money loses value. Professions disappear. So what exactly here is stable? The only stable thing is your dependence. Dependence on a paycheck, on a specific date on the calendar, on the mercy of the system. If your job disappears tomorrow, what happens to your income? It disappears with it. That's not stability. That's a temporary contract of obedience. Listen very carefully. A salary is not income. It is compensation. They don't pay you for results. They pay you for presence, for the fact that you showed up on time, stayed late, followed orders, didn't ask unnecessary questions. You are not selling skills. You are selling a slice of your life. And the worst part, that slice never comes back. Money can be earned again. Time. Never. Now ask yourself the question most people are afraid of. Does my income grow when I'm not working? If the answer is no, you are not building a financial system. You are surviving inside someone else's system. Poor people are not those who have little money. Poor people are those who have no time to think, and the system knows this. That's why it overloads you with work, keeps you in stress, scares you with layoffs, forces you to live from paycheck to paycheck. You are constantly busy, exhausted, overloaded. And in that state, people don't plan, don't analyze, don't build, they react. A reactive person is the perfect worker, the perfect consumer, the perfect debtor. They don't ask, why am I living like this? They ask, how do I survive until the end of the month? And that is the key difference. You think the problem is money? No. The problem is the fear of losing it. Fear of losing your job, losing stability, losing approval, losing status. Because of this fear, you don't take risks, don't learn new things, don't invest, don't start. They tell you, don't stand out. Be like everyone else. A bird in the hand is better. And you listen, because fear is louder than logic. Now think, who benefits from you being afraid? Certainly not you. Poor people work for money because they were never shown another option. A poor person is trained to execute, wait, adapt. They are not taught to create, own, scale. They grow up believing money is earned through hard work. That's half the truth. And half-truths are the most dangerous lies. Yes, work is needed at the start, but wealth is not created by work. It is created by structures that work without you. And this is where discomfort begins. Work will not make you rich. And it never was supposed to. I'll say it clearly. If work made people rich, cleaners, builders, and doctors would all be millionaires. But they are not. Because work has a ceiling. There are only so many hours, only so much energy, only so many years. You cannot work 30 hours a day. You cannot work forever. That's why the system work equals money mathematically cannot lead to freedom. It leads to survival. Here comes the first major realization. As long as you work for money, you will never control it. Money will always control you. Dictate your decisions, limit your choices, define your fears. You don't choose who you want to be. You choose what you can afford. That's not freedom. That's postponed life. Why is this so hard to accept? Because it's easier to believe the problem is external. I was unlucky. I didn't have the right starting conditions. The world is unfair. Maybe, but the world doesn't owe you fairness. It owes you logic. And the logic is simple. Those who own assets control money. Those who own only time sell it. The question is not who you were born as. The question is who you choose to remain. The line between the poor and the rich is not money, not even education. It is one decision. Do I work to survive or to build a system? Poor people work to pay bills. Rich people work to create mechanisms that pay bills for them. That's the whole difference. Simple, harsh, uncomfortable. If you feel uneasy right now, that's good. It means you started to see, to doubt, to think. Next, we go deeper. I will show you how the rich actually think, why assets matter more than a paycheck, and why most people will never cross this line, not because they can't, but because they are afraid of losing the little they have. You already know why poor people work for money. Now it's time to look at the other side, at what they do and why it works. This is not about luck, not about privilege, not about secret knowledge. It's about how they think. A poor person asks, "How much will I earn?" A rich person asks, "How can this be scaled?" That's the key. That's the moment where thinking defines destiny. The poor think short term. The rich think long term. The poor think in months. The rich think in decades. The poor choose safety. The rich choose potential. And this difference has nothing to do with intelligence, not with education, not with talent. It's about focus. You and a rich person both have the same thing, 24 hours a day. The difference is not the hours. The difference is how those hours are converted. A poor person sells time once. A rich person sells it over and over again. A poor person trades time for money, pays hidden taxes on that time, commuting, stress, exhaustion, loses control. A rich person makes money by time, uses assets that generate income while they sleep, builds multipliers. This difference is fatal. It decides everything. It's not about working more. It's about structuring income. Let's define the terms clearly. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. Most people are confused about this. They buy things that look like assets, but behave like liabilities. A house you live in is not an asset. It consumes money. A car is not an asset. It depreciates and demands maintenance. A new phone is not an asset. It loses value the moment you buy it. Assets are different. A business that generates cash flow. Stocks and ETFs that pay dividends. Intellectual property. Books, courses, licenses. Media. Content that keeps earning. Skills that scale beyond hours. Here's the rule you must understand. If your income depends on your presence, you are not free. This is not an insult. It's a diagnosis. And here is what hurts most. If you work for yourself but can't scale, you're still poor. Self-employment without leverage is just another job. Rich people don't think in tasks. They think in systems. A poor person does one job and gets paid once. A rich person creates a mechanism and gets paid repeatedly. Look at the simplest example. One worker writes text and gets paid once. One creator makes a video, and it earns thousands of times. This is scale. This is leverage. This is how wealth is actually built. Now let's talk about hate. Most people say they hate the rich. That's not true. What they actually hate is what the rich represent. Responsibility, exposure, ownership. It's easier to say, they got lucky. They stole it. Money is evil. Those phrases are emotional shields. They protect people from facing uncomfortable truth. Because the truth is this: the rich accepted responsibility for outcomes. They didn't outsource their future to a job description. They didn't wait for permission. And because of that, they don't fear money. They control it. Now remember fear from earlier. Poor people fear losing stability. Rich people fear not scaling. Poor people ask, what if I fail? Rich people ask, what happens if I don't try? Different questions, different nervous systems, different lives. The world does not reward fear. It rewards efficiency and leverage. Let's return to a simple principle. If something cannot earn without you, it is not financial freedom. Hard work trades time. Scaled work multiplies time. This is the entire game. Look at real examples. Stocks. You buy dollars, not hours. A business. You build a system, not a shift. Content. One creation, infinite distribution. Courses, one effort, thousands of buyers. All of these are time multipliers. Here's the uncomfortable truth again. Working hard is not enough. Working smart is not enough. You must work with leverage. Now let's talk about ownership. The rich don't just own assets, they own their thinking. They see opportunity where others see danger. They invest where others freeze. They plan decades ahead while others survive weeks. This is not magic, it's discipline. It's the ability to delay gratification, to accept temporary discomfort for permanent control. Money is power. Assets are power. Time is power. Poor people surrender power to the system. Rich people build it. And here's the realization. You can work your entire life and remain controlled, or you can work strategically and let money work for you. By now, the pattern should be clear. Poor people are limited by time, fear, and lack of structure. Rich people control time, manage fear, and design structure. This is not about money itself. It's about systems, about repeatability, about ownership. In the next part, we stop talking philosophy. We go into practice. How assets are created from nothing. Beginning, money is the result. You don't need capital to start. You need leverage. Leverage comes in 4 forms: time, skills, media, other people's money. Poor people rely only on time. Rich people combine all 4. Let's break this down. Skills first. A scalable skill earns more without taking more hours. Coding, design, writing, marketing, education, sales, one skill multiplied. Next, media. Media is leverage without permission. A video, a post, a channel, an audience. You speak once, thousands listen. That is power. Then systems, automation, processes, delegation. If you do everything yourself, you built a job. If the system works without you, you built an asset. Now money. Rich people don't chase income. They chase cash flow. Income is effort-based. Cash flow is structure-based. Cash flow continues. Income stops when you stop. This is why businesses beat salaries. Now let's address risk. Poor people avoid risk completely. Rich people manage it. Risk is not evil. Uncontrolled risk is. The safest path is not a job. The safest path is multiple income streams. One stream dries up, others keep flowing. This is diversification. The poor bet everything on one employer. The rich spread exposure. And now the hardest truth. You will feel stupid at first. Building assets means being bad publicly. Your first product will fail. Your first video will flop. Your first investment will hurt. That's the price. Rich people paid it early. Poor people pay it forever. Now listen carefully. You do not need to become rich. You need to become independent. Wealth is not yachts. It's control. Control over time. Control over location. Control over decisions. That's why rich people never retire. They stop needing permission. And here's the final realization. Money does not change people. It reveals them. If you are irresponsible, money amplifies it. If you are disciplined, money multiplies it. Poor people work for money because they were never taught to build. Rich people force money to work because they learned to design systems. This is not a secret. This is not forbidden knowledge. This is a choice, every day, between comfort and control, between safety and freedom, between consuming and building. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it.